prisons. We have 147,000 people who are incarcerated in the state. It's more than any other state. So clearly something is going wrong in our justice system. So my main job is to look at what are the drivers of mass incarceration, where are people falling through the gaps, and how can we fix the system in order to help people to not get involved in the criminal justice system in the first place, but if they have to be, make sure that their first interaction leads to no further interaction. San Antonio is really kind of leading the state when it comes to addressing problems on the front end. When someone comes into jail in Bexar County, they have jail outreach coordinators who actually look to see, are we dealing with someone who has a substance use problem, with mental health problems that would be better served through treatment and community level supports.
It all started out in my addiction. I was a heroin addict for about 25 years and in and out of prison for about 23. I knew that I was tired and I had hit rock bottom. Judge Jefferson Moore said, "You want to go where?" And I said, "I want to be a part of drug court." And I didn't even have a drug charge. I was kind of overlooked because nobody ever questioned, why does she keep coming back to jail? Well, it was because I was a heroin addict.
Within our county for criminal justice, I'm the connect the dots guy. On the very beginning end of it, we have an intake services that they work out of what we call our central magistration facility. So when an officer arrests somebody, it's a processing center, it's not the jail. They can bring him in there. So I have staff that will review cases to see if they're eligible for a pretrial release on what we call personal recognizance bonds.
What I do is I try to find programs to place them in. I'm not just getting the PR bond signed and I'm done. I'm actually supervising most of the people. So we have the in-house wellness program on Haven for Hope campus, and that is a mental health program. We have the in-house recovery program. That's intensive 5-month-long inpatient drug treatment program. And then we have the Haven to Home program, which is kind of something we put together for everybody that doesn't fit in one of those other two categories. And everything they need is right on campus. The biggest thing is it provides them a safe place to sleep.
If someone actually goes to a state jail facility, what usually happens is they'll receive little to no support or treatment, and if they receive anything, they'll generally not complete it, and they'll leave state jail with no aftercare, no community support. And what that produces is a 62.7% recidivism rate. And for that, we spend about $60 million a year. We spend $60 million a year in order to get a 62% failure rate. The criminal justice system is simply not equipped to deal with substance use issues, mental health, past trauma, educational issues. What we hope to do is to lower the penalty for possession so that people don't have a lifelong consequence for such a low-level offense. A lifelong barrier to employment, housing, licensing, forever marked with a felony label. And take all of the money that we would save from incarceration costs and shift that into what actually works, programs like the one we're here seeing today.
So if you were to ask me 10 years ago where I would see myself, I definitely wouldn't have said working in a homeless shelter. Despite having a relatively normal childhood, in high school I started drinking. It started out just a few times and then it turned into every weekend. It got to the point where my parents had kicked me out of the house. Once I left Haven, I started volunteering there because I felt there was nothing that I could give to Haven that would ever repay them for what they did for me. I was hired at Haven for Hope as a residential support specialist, where I continue to work, and I also work side by side with the jail outreach program.
I'm also someone with addiction, who is now in recovery. I'm someone who has a mental health history, and I'm someone who cycled out of control and ended up committing crimes out of desperation for more drugs. And I ended up having to serve 5 years, 8 months of my life in Texas Department of Criminal Justice in prison. And I've met so many people there who they could have been saved. Their lives would have transformed. Instead, they're doing 8, 10, 12, 15 years in prison. What we're doing isn't working, and let's do something different. Let's actually give them an opportunity that is going to make a true impact on their lives. You know, it's time for us to take a step back and say, if you've got 147,000 people in prison, we're not doing something right.